Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the quantity-based pricing webinar. We're just a minute past the hour here, so by the time I finish speaking, we should have more people in and we're ready to kick things off. But this is the second webinar of a two-part series. If you remember, about a month ago, we had a webinar on item catalog, which is another feature Recurly has been working on. We kind of discussed item catalog, got the 360 around the product, how it can benefit your business. And here we are now talking about quantity-based pricing, which is another feature that we're super excited about. So quantity-based pricing really just helps you increase the flexibility in terms of how you're selling your goods and services. So it's an opportunity to provide upsell, upsell opportunities, and ultimately just price based off of the quantity purchased. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And let's go ahead and kick things off here. My name is Alex Kroll. I'm a customer operations specialist. So I'm someone that's considered a customer advocate. And my goal here at Recurly is just to make sure our customers are getting the most value out of the program as they can. And part of that revolves around when new features like item catalog and quantity-based pricing come out, make sure our merchants are aware and that they're implementing into their business so they can get the most out of Recurly as a subscription management platform. So today's agenda here, as soon as I wrap up our introduction, we're going to get into quantity-based pricing, or QBP, from a product standpoint. So we're going to be hearing from Sean Counselor, who is a Recurly product manager in charge of QBP. So he'll kind of walk us through the history of quantity-based pricing, kind of the thinking behind it and how it can benefit your business. And then we'll talk about QBP from a Recurly technical support standpoint. Liz Ammons is going to walk us through that. And this is a really unique element because we're going to see kind of an actual demo. So, a Recurly user merchant example where we walk through quantity-based pricing, how it's implemented, and what it looks like within your account. And then we'll talk about some future functionality, and then we'll wrap up with a question and answer session. So you may have heard me earlier, but on the right side of your screen, you have a little rectangular box. It's the admin console for the webinar here, and that allows you to ask any questions. So you should see a chat feature down in the bottom right, and that's where you can ask any questions. I'll moderate them and make sure we get to them at the end of the webinar here. Just a couple more things I should mention. The webinar is being recorded. So if you have to leave mid-webinar, you can always pick up later on our YouTube channel. We'll also be sending a follow-up email to everyone that joins us today, just kind of with a digest as well as the links to the recording and any information we learned today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Sean Counselor, who is the Recurly product manager in charge of quantity-based pricing. Sean?
Awesome, Alex. Thanks for setting the stage, and thanks to everybody for joining. It's awesome to see the excitement for what the team has been working really hard on for the past few months. So diving right into it, quantity-based pricing is really all about giving you flexibility and ways to incentivize your customers to scale with you. So at its core, it's about incentivizing higher consumption with quantity-based discounts. The ability to charge different quantities at different prices and have an easier way to manage that in your billing platform. So this is about flexibility for the pricing and packaging that you can offer your customers. If you are a small to medium-sized business just getting started with setting up your offerings for your subscribers, this can be relevant for you. If you have some enterprise customers where you have specific contracts, this is likely the sweet spot for you. And if you're an enterprise company and you have a ton of different contracts you need to support, quantity-based pricing is also going to have value for your organization. Quantity-based pricing, whether you're charging at the beginning or the end of the billing period, helps you offer some pricing to align your operational costs, what it costs your company to support your subscribers and your customers, with the value that your customers are getting. And you hope that as your customers grow, they're growing with you, and you can find ways to incentivize your customers to both pay you more and also have that work for both of your businesses. The last piece here, which is really more tactical, is around how we see our merchants handle upgrades and downgrades as their subscribers are really growing and scaling. Right now, we see our merchants set up something like 1 to 10 plans that are really different quantities. And when somebody goes up to the next quantity, they're just switching plans. That's logic you have to manage on your side, and it causes a little bit of overhead that our merchants didn't love. So one of the great pieces about quantity-based pricing is you no longer will have to just switch plans or keep that logic on your side. If somebody's just buying more seats or more of a given item or product, you can just send Recurly a quantity and we'll handle all the billing calculations for you, making sure that your subscribers are only paying for what they should be paying for, and you don't have to manage the plan overhead. So let's go to the next slide and talk about what the quantity-based pricing models are. So there's 3 pricing models here: tiered, volume, and stairstep. Don't get too caught up in the names. I think the important piece to take away here is they all use the concept of tiers. A tier can be products 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 and above. There's different types of unit ranges, and you have full flexibility on what your tiers should be and what your price should be for each tier. If somebody buys more of a product, you could charge less for each product. If somebody buys more of a product, you could start to charge more for those products. It's really whatever makes sense for your business and your monetization strategy. So we'll take it a step further into a couple examples of each of these and a few merchant scenarios that we've seen. Next slide. So we'll start with tiered pricing. Let's say I have an office services company and I charge for physical laminated documents. And there's an actual cost to that laminated document. So I can't just give these things away for free. But I know for merchants, for customers that are buying a lot of them, I might want to offer some sort of discount strategy to incentivize customers to buy more. So in this example, an office services company could charge $1 for each of those laminated documents for the first 100. Doc 1 to 100 are $1 each. If a customer buys more than 100, they become 50 cents each. So you can see in the sliding example on the right that the first 100 documents I purchased are all charged at $1. The last 10 documents in this example are charged at 50 cents each. The other cool use case I see with tiered pricing is merchants offering the first tier for free. Product 1 to 100 are $0 each, and anything over that has a cost. And so it's a great way to have an included quantity, an included part of your product, and charge for overage as customers really start to get value and start to leverage whatever that product or service is. Let's move on to volume pricing. Volume pricing is all about bulk discounts. This is really incentivizing your customers to buy more to get a better price. Let's say I have a screen printing t-shirt company. It's an e-commerce company. I'm selling physical goods, and I'm taking orders from people who want to make custom t-shirts. If somebody buys 1 through 20 t-shirts, those t-shirts are $10 each. If somebody buys more than 20 t-shirts, those t-shirts are $9 each. So this is a great way to incentivize customers to buy more and to incentivize them to really say, ooh, I would rather have another 5 t-shirts and have it be a little bit cheaper per unit. And the last example is stairstep pricing. Stairstep, the big difference here is that it's not a cost per unit, it's a total price based off whichever tier range the customer falls into. So I have a software as a service company, and I'm charging for users the total amount of licenses that someone needs in a given month. If a customer buys 1 to 10 users, they'll be charged a total of $50. If a customer buys 11 to 20 users, they'll be charged a total of $100. If a customer has more than 20 users, whether it's 21, 50, or 100, in this example, they're only going to be charged 150. So it's a great way to not be super focused on this product is this cost, but these ranges have these costs. So those are the 3 pricing models. There's a couple different places in Recurly where you can leverage these pricing models based off how you want to charge your customers. So as Alex alluded to earlier, we have the item catalog that just released to really organize all of the products and services you sell. We also have add-ons, which are really the same thing. They're both for subscribers that are paying at the start of the billing period. There's a known product, there's a known quantity involved, and you can make a charge for it. This is great for software as a service companies that are charging for licenses, and also really ideal for e-commerce companies charging for physical goods. So these pricing models, tiered, volume, and stairstep, can be used on products that are sold in advance. They can also, coming up in 2 short days, be used for products that are sold in arrears. So Recurly has a usage-based billing service where you can log usage during the course of a billing period, and that usage will show on the customer's next invoice. So for subscribers that you want to bill based on consumption, based off what's used, this is perfect for you. It's great for pay-as-you-go offerings for things like how many devices am I running at a given time or in this given month? How much data did I process or did a customer use this month? How much time did they spend for specific engagements? How many messages did I send? There's a ton of different ways you can start to monetize usage-based billing. And we're seeing our merchants start to combine the upfront, I'm paying for this service, with a usage-based component. So Recurly has had usage-based billing. The new piece here is having access to the quantity-based pricing models for the usage-based billing service. The piece that our merchants that I've heard they're most excited for is I want to be able to offer a free quantity for I'm going to give somebody 3 songs or 100 instances of this action on my site. If you go over that, we'll start to charge per instance, whether that's gigabytes of data, text messages, any example you can think of. There's a bunch of great ways to monetize. We'll talk a little bit more towards the end about usage-based billing and what's coming this Thursday. But with that, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat on the right, and we'll get to it when timing makes sense. And with that, I will pass it back to Alex.
Thanks so much, Sean. That was fantastic. Really great insight into the thinking behind quantity-based pricing here. So it looks like we did have a couple questions come in, and folks, we are going to get to those at the end of the webinar here. So now I'm actually going to turn it over to Liz Ammons, who is a Recurly technical support engineer, to kind of walk through a actual demo and use case of quantity-based pricing. Liz?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Liz Ammons, and I am a technical support engineer at Recurly. I'm on the integrations team. So today, I would like to take you through a few use cases where a Recurly merchant would benefit from using quantity-based pricing add-ons. So you can go to the next slide, please. Okay. So as Sean just talked about, quantity-based pricing add-ons allow merchants to have flexibility in their pricing based on the quantity a subscriber purchases. So rather than charging your customer the same price for every unit, regardless of quantity, you're able to customize pricing once customers reach a specific quantity milestone. And for this demo, I'll be walking through configuring subscription plans to include the quantity-based pricing add-ons. I'll subscribe a user to the plans with the add-ons, and then we'll take a look at the resulting invoices. So I can go ahead and pull up my screen to share.
Yeah, Liz, I went ahead and stopped sharing my screen, and let me know once you're able to go ahead and grab your screen on here.
All right, just a sec.
Okay, perfect. So I can see your screen now, Liz.
Okay, great. So first we'll configure a plan to include our tiered quantity-based pricing add-on. Then we'll go to volume and finally Stairstep. So in this scenario, our merchant is Pink Lizard, and this is a toy manufacturer and online gaming community. This merchant provides users access to their online platform by way of a monthly $25 subscription. In addition to this subscription, users can add on digital and/or physical goods, as well as additional mini games to enhance their online gameplay. So for our first use case, Pink Lizard would like to include a digital coin offering where a user can receive a variable price based on the number of coins they're purchasing. And so this is going to be our tiered pricing plan. So I already have my plan set up. You can configure quantity-based pricing add-ons for existing plans or new plans. In our case, we're using existing plans, and I'm going to just go ahead and edit the plan to include the add-on. So here you can see we have our plan name and plan code already filled in. I have my billing period set up as well as the price per billing period. So once we get down to the plan add-on section, this is where we will configure our quantity-based pricing add-ons. Also, I'm just going to use a pre-configured item for my add-on. So I'm going to select the 100 coin bundle. And then as the pricing model, I'm choosing tiered. And so our merchant, Pink Lizard, wants to give 100 coins free. And then as the user wants to purchase more coins, they'll either be $5 per bundle, and then as they go on, it will be $3 per bundle. So we're going to start with our first tier. So it'll be up to 1 unit at $0. Our next tier is 2 to 5 units, and that'll be at a price of $5 per unit. And then our next tier is 6 to unlimited, and we'll make that $3 per unit. So in this scenario, the merchant is giving the customer a discount as they purchase more coin bundles. However, they are still charging a per unit price for the lower tiers as well. So when you look at our breakdown here, you can see that if the customer were to purchase 10 units, there's a line item for each tier that they fall within. So the first unit is 0, 2 to 5 units is $5 per unit, and then 6 to 10 is $3 per unit. So I'm going to go ahead and save my plan. And then we'll go ahead and subscribe an actual customer to this plan also within our Recurly admin console. So the reason I'm subscribing the customer to the plan within the admin console is to show that in addition to configuring the tiers within the plan configuration, you can also customize the pricing for each tier on a per subscription basis. So when I go to my customer's account, I can add a subscription, and I'll select my tiered pricing plan. So it will pre-fill my price per billing period. I'll select the add-on, and it asks me to input a quantity. So from here, I can just go ahead and put in my quantity 10. It'll show my breakdown of what's pre-configured on the plan. So our price points of 0 for the first tier, $5 per item for the second tier, $3 per item for the third tier. However, if we wanted to, we can edit the tiers so that we can give this customer custom pricing. So I'll go ahead and remove my tiers from what was configured at the plan level and give this customer up to 3 bundles at the 0 price point. Once they get to 5 bundles, they'll get $3 or $5 per unit, and then anything beyond will be at $3 per unit. So in this scenario, if our customer were to purchase 2 bundles, they would still be in the $0 tier and wouldn't be charged anything additional on their invoice. However, you would still see the line item on the invoice, but it's a $0 charge. And so this is helpful. Like I said, if you want to give certain customers an extra added benefit or bonus, it does not impact your existing plan configuration, nor does it impact any other customers who are subscribed to this plan. So I'll go ahead and save these tiers. And then we'll go ahead and add the subscription to the account. And so now we see that our user, our customer Perry, is subscribed to the Pink Lizard tiered pricing plan. And if I click on the plan and take a look at the invoice that was generated, we can see that there are 3 line items for the add-on. So you're basically getting a breakdown of the quantity and price for each individual tier, and then the total price of the full invoice with the plan pricing as well. So for the next plan, this will be a demonstration of how to set up a volume pricing plan. So in this scenario, Pink Lizard would like to give their users discounts on a physical good. So their physical item is a minifigure. And so based on the number of minifigures the customer wants to purchase, the price would be discounted if they go over a certain threshold. So I'm going to go to Plan Actions and edit my plan. Again, I already have the plan name and billing period and pricing configured. So once we get down to the add-on, I'll select my minifigure item, select my volume pricing. And so in this case, our quantities of 1 through 10 would be priced at $10 per unit. However, any unit above 10 and beyond is priced at $7 per unit. And so in this scenario, once the user reaches 11 units, each unit is at the lower price point, will be charged at the lower price point. So if they wanted 5, it's $5 per unit at the $10 price point. But then if they decided they wanted 12 units, they would go ahead and be charged $7 per unit. And there's only one line item on the invoice. So basically, the customer is charged in the amount of the highest tier that they reach. So I'll go ahead and save this plan. And then we'll go back to our account. So Perry's going to get a bunch of subscriptions today. And I will add the subscription to the account. This time I'm looking for my volume plan. And I'm going to select my minifigs. And so again, we can enter our quantity. So in this case, if we selected 12, he would be at the $7 per unit price point, and each item would be charged at $7. Additionally, we can also edit the tiers in this scenario as well. So we could give this user custom pricing if we wanted to. And then we'll go ahead and add the subscription to the account. And then once we take a look at the invoice here, what we'll note is that there's just one line item. because they only fall into one tier category when you have your volume scenario. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and configure a stair-step pricing plan. So again, I'll go into my plan, edit plan, and go down to include my add-on. So for the stair-step example, Pink Lizard wants to implement a mini games promotion where users get access to up to 3 free games a month, and they would be charged a flat rate if they wanted to access more than those 3 free games. So based on the total number of games they're going to access, they'd be charged a fixed rate depending on the tier that they fall into. So to configure this model, I'm going to select my additional mini games item, select my stair-step pricing model, and for my first tier in the stair-step pricing model, I'll do up to quantity 3. Again, we'll leave that at the $0 price point. Up to 6, we will have a price point of $25. And so this is just a flat rate of $25 to give them access to up to 6 games. If they choose to only use 4 of those 6, we're still at the $25 price point. Once they go over 6 and up to unlimited, then they'll just be charged $50 per month in addition to their plan fee. So it won't be a case of the $25 plus $50 plus the plan fee. Our stair-step pricing model just depends on the highest threshold that the customer reaches as well. So for example, if they wanted to access 2 games, it would be at the $0 price point. In the event they wanted to access 8, they would be stepped into that $50 tier, and it's a fixed rate for each billing cycle. So we'll go ahead and save our plan configuration and head back to Mr. Pinkman's account. Oh, went one step too far. Back to Mr. Pinkman's account and add a volume or a stair-step subscription. So I'll go to my stair-step pricing plan, select my add-on, and then again, I can enter my quantity. So if I decide on 4 additional mini games, we're in the $25 tier. And so it'll just be a flat rate of an additional $25 per billing period. Again, here we can also edit our tiers for this particular subscription so that if we wanted to give them 5 games for free, or we wanted to give them a discount on one of the tier levels, we could do that here. So I'm just going to go back and save to add the subscription to the account. And when we take a look at our stair-step pricing invoice, the one thing you'll want to note here is the quantity. So it's a default quantity of 1. However, the line item does indicate the specific quantity for the add-on. But since we're not actually changing the price per each individual unit, on the invoice, it just defaults to 1 to kind of keep it just clean and aligned so that, the price point doesn't change as you move within the tier. So this basically concludes the demo for configuring quantity-based pricing add-ons for your plans and creating subscriptions with these add-ons. One thing I do also want to mention is that the plan configuration and subscription creations can also be done via the Recurly API. So you can do everything we just demoed programmatically, as well as within the admin console UI. And I will hand it back over to Alex.
Well, thanks so much, Liz. That was extremely helpful. I think Mr. Pinkman has, several subscriptions to think about now, all different
Absolutely.
models. But yeah, it's extremely helpful to see, something like this, particularly all this functionality as an actual use case. So I really appreciate that. And one thing I just want to highlight, and I think kind of speaks to how much thought went into a feature like this, and let me get back to my screen real quick here, is just that you can configure custom tiers on a customer level. And Liz touched on this, but it should be emphasized that if you have a sales team and they negotiate, custom contracts, different prices for different types of vendors, it really makes sense to be able to change that on a customer level. And the fact that that can be done for tiered volume and Stairstep is extremely important. And Liz touched on that as well. So folks, just one more reminder here that we're going to be getting to questions here in just a couple of minutes. So please feel free to ask them within your admin console on the right side of your screen before we do so. But Sean, I'm going to turn it over to you to just for a brief moment here, just to talk about some functionality coming up.
Awesome. Liz, that was a great overview. The one thing to add is you can also have your subscribers sign up through our hosted payment pages. So you could build your own programmatic integration using the APIs. Your internal team can use our admin console, or you can send links to the hosted payment pages to have people sign up for plans. So a ton of options of how you get customers to sign up. As for what's coming, so quantity-based pricing, everything Liz just demoed is already available on your sites in production today. Coming this Thursday, July 30th, we'll be releasing quantity-based pricing for usage add-ons. So those same 3 pricing models available to add-ons charged at the end of the billing period. The other big update coming in this release is support for usage-based billing in our v3 JSON APIs. So if you're a developer on this call and you're using the APIs, highly recommend taking a look at the new v3 versions. Should be a lot more modern and performant for you. For any merchants who want access early, want to get started, please email quantity-based-pricing@recurly.com, and we'd be happy to talk to you more and make sure we get you started. As far as what's next, some things not related to quantity-based pricing specifically. Our core team is doing a ton to improve our platform and make it everything our merchants want to see. Some of the things we've heard that are bubbling up and getting solved between now and really the end of the year are the list in the upcoming section below. So we're focused on how we can support different proration use cases and give the merchant flexibility to decide if they want to prorate, if they want to not prorate, and really give you more options there. Next is coupons specifically for the items in your catalog, really allowing you to find different ways to discount just one product or a bundle of products. We're focused on supporting multiple payment methods. So you can have a primary payment method for one subscription and then a different primary payment method for a different subscription. There's a ton of other use cases that come after that initial step, which we're really excited to tackle as well. And the last one here is enhanced pricing precision. So the ability to charge less than a penny for a given product. We'll be supporting up to 9 decimal places for usage add-ons, but really a better system of rating and metering and getting more granular for things like data and text messages and merchants in the streaming and SaaS categories. And with that concludes what I had to share with you today, and I will pass it back to Alex.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sean. Well, everyone, that wraps up everything for today. Let's get over to our question and answer session here. So we've got one here from Colin. He's curious, is quantity-based pricing possible only on add-ons?
For now, quantity-based pricing is only available on the add-ons, item add-ons, and usage add-ons data objects. We have it on our roadmap for the future to gauge interest and see if it warrants also supporting at the plan level. So if that's something you want to see, please reach out to support, let them know. We'll get it logged in a feature request because we definitely want to hear the need for that before we just go about building it.
Awesome. And Colin, I believe you're in the audience here. Hopefully that helped answer your question. And I'm starting to see more questions come in here, which is fantastic. Next one here from Stephen. Do you have any consultants that would work with small businesses and set up and manage the API so that monthly use data can be pulled on a monthly basis from, say, a basic Google Sheet?
I definitely recommend we get you in touch with our sales and support teams. We have a couple different vendors that we work through for professional services integrations, and it sounds like a prime candidate. We've definitely done things similar to that before, but there's not a plug and play method. So it's really dependent on what your needs are, and we'll find the right solve for you.
Yeah, Stephen, and to latch onto that, you know, I totally agree. I think professional services is a great option. Unfortunately, I don't have your last name or your email in the chat here. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could just drop your email, I'd be happy to get you in touch with our PS team. Next one here from Rosa. How would you use Stairstep pricing for seat tiers where there's no base pricing so that it can't be an add-on? And I can read that one again.
Yeah,
No, I heard
so
that. Sorry, I was done.
Oh, okay.
I can go ahead and advise on this. So if there's no base pricing, you can configure a subscription plan with a $0 plan price. And then once you have that $0 input in your plan configuration, then you would just have to go through to the Stairstep billing model for the add-ons and then include your seats that way.
Okay, great. Rosa, hopefully that helped answer your question there. One more from Colin. Are there upcoming capabilities with QBP in combo with QBP only available on V3?
Quantity-based pricing is available on both the V2 and the V3 APIs. We just previously didn't have support for usage-based add-ons on the V3 APIs. If that doesn't answer the question, please send over another one. We'll make sure to clarify it.
Awesome, awesome. So next one here from Nancy. She says she's not comfortable changing her plans on production yet, but does like the idea of QBP. Is there a place to test without breaking her live plans?
Definitely. So we always respect our merchants' willingness to make sure their production environments are stable. Really appreciate that. We offer sandbox sites that can be used to test in a lower level environment that doesn't have production impacts. So you can stage some of your changes, see what you want them to look like before fully rolling them out. If you need access to a sandbox site, Alex will send over a link shortly in the chat to get you started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Next one here from Terry. He's interested in quantity-based pricing, but is concerned about migrating my current plans. How would you recommend I turn existing plans into plans that offer the QBP structure?
Yeah, a couple of the merchants that I've talked to in this scenario, I've heard this question a couple times, they're starting small. It's a very calculated move. Starting for new subscribers, setting up a plan that has a quantity-based add-on, and for new subscribers, starting to have them use the quantity-based pricing plan instead of the old historical plans. As they have customers that are in an upgrade or downgrade scenario, that's when they will migrate them over to the plan with quantity-based pricing. So they're no longer having to handle those plan changes. They're just submitting a quantity to Recurly. So definitely recommend taking your plan set, looking at the logical tiers that it creates, and shifting that into one plan with the necessary add-ons to support your business.
Right. And next one here from Lauren, she says, will we eventually have the ability to edit start and end quantity for the tiers in the edit subscription screen like you can for price?
You can change the start and ending quantity on that screen today. One of the things is because we do the automatic tier fill out for you, when you add an ending quantity, we add the subsequent row with the starting quantity. There's a remove button on the right-hand side. So you can click remove a couple times and fill out your tiers the same way you did on the plan page to make whatever tier setup you want with whatever prices you want.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it looks like we have one more here, and folks, again, on the right side, we've seen some tremendous engagement, which is fantastic. On the right side, just feel free to ask any more questions before we wrap up here, but we've got one more from Sarah. She says she's creating a plan and trying to find the option to add quantity-based pricing and just doesn't see it. Is she looking in the right place?
Yeah, so if you are creating a new plan or editing an existing plan, you should see a section on your screen that says Create Add-on. And you can click Create Add-on, or you can select an item from your catalog if you have that feature enabled on your site. And both of those will show you the add-on section where you can select from the new pricing models. So if you have any issues finding it, we'll also be sending some links to the docs, and there's a video that does a little overview, which should help make sure that you're looking at the right spot.
Yeah, Sean, and speaking of documentation, obviously we're going to send out some links, but is there an easy place for our merchants just to go? How can they access our documentation just overall?
Yeah, there's docs.recurly.com is the homepage for our documentation. There's a section on there for both billing models that has all the information on our different billing and pricing models. There's also a section called plans and add-ons, which goes really in detail to all the configuration of how you can set up different plan, add-on, and item offerings. And then the last piece here is for the developers on the call. There's also a couple guides that we've been putting together, which are, as you're setting up an integration, here's in V3 the structured way of step-by-step how to set up that integration. So really focused on creating an item as a guide, creating a quantity-based pricing add-on as a guide, and coming shortly, we'll also have creating usage-based add-ons, which will be the combination of everything we're talking about. And I believe, Alex, you have some of those links. We can share those out as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that wraps it up for today, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much, Sean and Liz, for presenting today. I just want to emphasize in our follow-up email here, we will be sending the recording for this webinar, as well as the docs that Sean has alluded to, so you can take a look at those. And we'll also be sending information on if you're interested in setting up a Sandbox account. Probably most of our merchants are already aware of what a Sandbox account is and have one, but it's essentially just a test environment, as we alluded to earlier, where you can test out quantity-based pricing. So we'll include some information on that as well. So rest assured, everything we talked about today will be recorded. You can share it with your colleagues, digest it later. But I really want to emphasize, thank you for coming out today. This is the second part of a two-part webinar series. We really appreciate the support and the just the desire to kind of want to learn about these features. At the end of the day, we build them for our merchants, and hopefully you find value in them. So with that said, Sean, Liz, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off here and wrap up the quantity-based pricing webinar. Thanks again, everyone.